Hello buddies, I'm Nonit and we will talk about the GST Council. So this is from basically from the exam point of view and the bullet points. So let's talk about the GST Council. So as you know, why GST Council in news? Because there is a recently 43rd GST Council meeting held recently, and there are the exemption and there are the some tax GST reduction done by the government in the COVID relief goods like the some medicines, ambulances, and there are the some other equipment related to the COVID-19 goods. So basically, we will talk about the that GST Council. So how did GST Council actually work and under which act, under which article, which amendment, who is the chairman and chairperson, how actually what make recommendation, who are the members who are involved in this and first meetings, third meeting and how many meetings we need to be held in a year we will talk about. So firstly that the GST Council. So firstly you should know that the GST Council is a constitutional body because many people, many students make this mistake that it is a statutory body. But remember that GST is a constitutional body and not a statutory body. And this constitutional body comes under Article 279A and under 101 Amendment Act 2016 when made by in the previous Modi era. So remember that what is the chairman? Chairman is the Union Finance Minister, which is currently the Nirmala Sitharaman. And what are the members? So look at the members. Look at the members. So as far as the members is concerned, then there is a Union Minister of State in charge of Revenue or Finance. That is the member of the council. Another is the member that one member from each state in charge of finance and taxation. And remember that that member will be vice chairman and which will be the mutually decided, means there is a no consensus and no voting but mutually decided who will be the vice chairperson, so that will be the mutually decided. And remember that Central Board of Excise and Custom, chairman will be the permanent invitee in this GST Council. Whenever the GST meeting council held, then this member, this chairperson, Central Board of Excise and Custom chairperson will be the permanent invitee in this GST Council meeting. Another important thing we have to look at that there are the some facts which is not very important from exam point of view, but we should have a look. So the first meeting held in the 22nd and 23rd September 2016. Remember this. And what is the last meeting which recently held and given some exemption and there is a GST reduction for some COVID-19 relief goods. That is the 43rd meeting which held recently and the first in this fiscal year. So this is the first of this fiscal year. Remember this. So how many GST Council meeting needs to be held in a quarter and in a month? At least one in a quarter and 4 times in a year. So this should be remembered. What is the minimum number like parliament, like 10% or let's say 15% people is needed to make the parliament and to held to be parliament. So similarly in GST Council there should be a 50% quorum should be there to hold a GST Council meeting. So 50% is the minimum requirement to hold the GST Council meeting. Another is, remember, this is the very important and on the basis of this the every decision taken place. Remember that 1/3, here is the law, let's suppose there is a 100%, then remember that 33% voting lies with the center, which is the 1/3. So remember that 33% voting, which is the 1/3, lies with the center and 2/3 lies with the states. 2/3 voting process means the 67% lies with the state. Remember this and remember this. And to make and to pass any recommendation and to pass just a resolution from the GST Council, how much voting is needed? The 3/4 voting is needed to pass a recommendation from the GST Council. This is the very important, and on the basis of this all the recommendations on all the procedure were passed from the GST Council, everything like that. So what is the main point here is that without the involvement of state and even without the involvement of center and without the acceptance of state or either center, you cannot pass any recommendation from the GST Council because 33%. at least 75% is needed. So remember that no one has the majority. Like parliament, if there is a Lok Sabha and if there is a you have to pass any bill, then there is a majority, then you come and pass. But here is never majority. Whatever is the government, no matters. You need the opposition consent at least. So this is the very important point here. So here is the no one has the majority either from the. So what is the main thing that here is the some ruling state and which is from the same from the which is union government, which from the union government like BJP. So BJP has also the state. So if this combine that, but you need the opposition support here to pass any recommendation, and that's why opposition here are more stronger sometimes, because you cannot pass a single recommendation without the opposition consent. So this is the very important point in this GST council, and that's why many states, even the many opposition states, demanding the federal body just like the GST council. This is the very important point we need to remember, the voting process especially. So now let's talk about the some functions of GST Council. Although everything which is related to taxes and cesses surcharges belongs to the GST and resolved in the GST Council, but we should look at the some brief. So firstly, before the function discussing the functions of GST Council, we need to remember that it is a kind of federal body. This is a kind of GST Council is a federal body which actually center and the states both get the due representation of their. So what is the federalism? Federalism where the center state holding the same responsibility, and in the same the GST Council is the federal body because center and the state gets their representation. Now let's talk about the some functions of the GST Council. Although this is important, but this is not very important because whatever is related to the taxes and surcharges and cesses etc. belong to this GST Council and decided by this GST Council where the center and the states both are involved. So firstly that the subsuming, so whatever the taxes, cesses and charges we need to be levied and we need to subsume under GST will come under this GST Council. So this is the subsuming of various taxes, cesses and surcharges in GST. So this is the. Now look, sometimes like in the COVID-19 or if there is any calamity, so we need to something exempt from the GST, or either there is a reduction in the GST or there are the sometimes increment in the GST. So which also comes like recently exempted from the GST, I think tocilizum, I think that is the kind of drug, and rejected from the 5% to 0%. 5% now it is from the exempted from. So there are the some alcohol, also the petrol, diesel which is exempted from the GST. So there are the some exemptions from the GST. They like the alcohol and recently the petrol, diesel, which is the very hot debate why they are exempted from GST, because they are not under the GST, they are the central government arbitrarily increasing their taxes and even the state. So exemption from GST, who will the taxes will be exempt, or either from the outside the purview of GST, and either there should be a threshold limit. Threshold limit means if there is anything, or if there is now let's say 5% taxes or 10% taxes or 12% taxes we need to impose on that thing. So that will be the threshold. Beyond that, if we need to increase, then we need the GST Council note. Another is the very important thing is that GST reduction and as well as the GST increment. If someone or if there is a GST Council either needed to decrease or either needed to increase the GST taxes on the, like recently the 14 relief goods give the 5% to 0%, 28% 5% to 0%, 28% to 12% for ambulances, and this is from a drug. So this is come under this the responsibility of GST Council, either from the reduction or either if the COVID-19 will go out and will soon, then obviously this will become under the, and then the increment will take place in the GST Council. This also come under the GST Council. Another important point related to the GST functions of GST Council is that it solves the dispute. It solves the dispute between the center and the state, and even between the states, like some ruling party or some opposition party like Gujarat and Rajasthan, if they arises from something like that, then GST Council also solve that dispute related to the which taxes, cesses and surcharges and whatever related to the taxes, cesses and surcharges, and some other things which indirectly related to the taxes or services and goods, etc. So remember this. And recently between the center and the state there is a dispute arises related to the cesses, and center has promised while making the GST that we will compensate if the any deficit in your taxes till from the beginning of the to up to the fifth year, at least from the I think 2021 or either 2022. So remember that recently in the last year when the COVID-19 first pandemic arises, then there is just some dispute between the center and the state related to the cess. So it is very frequently in news, and center gave the two mechanisms to solve that dispute, and that dispute either take from the loan from the RBI, or if you will give then we will take the interest from that. So that dispute arises in the last year, and then just because of this GST Council or either opposition party arises issue, then center decided that we will take a loan and then distribute to the state. So that dispute resolution this also come under this GST Council. Remember this. Another is the making a special provision. Either we have to transfer some taxes, or we have to charge some cesses, or give this some cesses or charge related to the Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Manipur, basically the northeast. Here also include some Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, etc. some also, which also comes under. Another is very important point is the principle to levy the GST, means on the basis of which the GST will apply and certain goods and either the services. So that principle will defined by this GST Council. This is the very important point we need to remember. So here the 2 to 3 points we need to remember in this GST Council, or the whole of this topic. We can say the summary of this topic is basically that said GST Council formed in the 2016, under which at Article 229A, Article 229A. What are the amendment? 101st Amendment Act of 2016. Remember that there are the very important voting process in which this 25% is needed to pass any recommendation, or you can say the 3/4 is needed to pass any recommendation. 67 lies with the state and the 33 lies with the center. And any resolution, remember that it is very difficult to pass a resolution without the opposition support. But if there is a draconian majoritarian in every state, or let's say state, or even there are some few states which lies to the opposition, then its resolution can also be passed, but it's very difficult to pass a recommendation from the GST Council without the opposition support. This is the very important point in this. And remember that it can be asked from in any examination that it is headed by, means the chairman is the finance minister. Remember that. So this is the whole and the summary of this GST Council. Thank you guys. Hope you like this video. You should subscribe my channel for such more videos. We will meet in the next video. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.